1. Britain's state pension crisis. Is the welfare system doomed? 2. UK pension reform. Why the triple lock might be replaced. 3. UK's pension triple lock, a £15.5 billion burden by 2030. 4. State pension crisis. More than 22 million Brits to rely on state by 2040. 1. Britain's state pension crisis. Is the welfare system doomed? Imagine Britain's state pension system as a ticking time bomb, ready to explode under the pressure of mounting costs and an aging population. Health Secretary Wes Streeting claims that the changes in the welfare bill will bring peace of mind to citizens. Yet, economists view this with skepticism. The UK's welfare crisis is staggering, with £313 billion annually allocated to various benefits including disability payments, universal credit, and the state pension, which alone accounts for over £150 billion each year. Designed to grow at the rate of the highest between inflation, wage growth, or 2.5%, the state pension is set to become unsustainable as demographics shift. The government finds itself in a predicament of its own creation. Immediate action is crucial to prevent a financial catastrophe. At the Adam Smith Institute, where I contribute, we closely monitor the state pension's health. Our latest analysis revealed a grim forecast. By 2036, the state pension will disburse more than it receives in national insurance contributions. After that, it will depend on the National Insurance Fund investment account to cover the shortfall, which will start to dwindle from 2040 onwards. Despite a recent increase in employers' national insurance contributions, the savings from the welfare bill, totaling only £5 billion, are insufficient to address the escalating costs. This scenario leaves us in a precarious position. With a shrinking workforce and stagnant productivity, the financial burden continues to rise. The question looms, how can we sustain this costly aspect of the state? The situation evokes a sense of urgency reminiscent of the Chernobyl disaster. While the risks are undeniable, there seems to be little political will to implement necessary reforms. By 2037, if current trends persist, the repercussions could be devastating. Pensioner poverty would soar, bond markets would panic, and the largest voting demographic in the UK would express their frustration through volatile elections. Workers who have diligently contributed to the pension scheme over decades might see their savings evaporate. The British state pension system is clearly inadequate, and politicians, aware of its shortcomings, are hesitant to tackle the issue head-on. In 2023, Mel Stride, then Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, voiced concerns about the triple lock's sustainability, but no concrete measures were taken. During their failed 2024 general election campaign, the Conservatives proposed a triple lock plus, essentially a quadruple lock, which would tie personal allowances to state pension increases. This proposal did little to win over younger voters. A Labour minister, when questioned about the state pension state, admitted their helplessness in averting the impending collapse. The government faces limited options to address the crisis. Printing more money would likely lead to inflation, exacerbating the problem. Borrowing more is unfeasible given the existing debt interest of £111 billion annually. Raising taxes is also problematic, as Britain is already heavily taxed. The viable solutions involve profound reforms, such as increasing the state pension age dramatically, or facing the consequences of systemic failure. Whitehall stands at a critical juncture, having created its own dilemma. Urgent action is needed to avert disaster. This is not a rehearsal, the stakes are real. 2. UK pension reform. Why the triple lock might be replaced. Pension crisis looms. Think tank takes aim at triple lock. The UK's pension system is on the brink of collapse, and a leading think tank is sounding the alarm. The Institute for Fiscal Studies, IFS, has proposed a radical overhaul of the pension system, including scrapping the triple lock that guarantees annual increases for pensioners. This bombshell comes just as Chancellor Rachel Reeves is set to launch a long-overdue review of the nation's pension savings next week. The IFS has been investigating the pension crisis since 2023, and its final report identifies 4 critical areas that need urgent attention. The think tank's experts argue that the current system is unsustainable, and their proposed solutions are designed to address the serious challenges facing the UK pension system. The triple lock, a ticking time bomb? One of the main culprits behind the pension crisis is the aging population, which is putting immense pressure on public finances. As a result, people are losing faith in the state pension, wondering how much they'll actually receive in the future. The triple lock, which ensures the state pension increases by the highest of three options, 2.5% inflation, or earnings growth, is a major contributor to this uncertainty. By guaranteeing annual increases, the triple lock makes it difficult for governments to predict and manage the cost of the state pension. But here's where it gets controversial. The IFS proposes replacing the triple lock with a mechanism that reduces the annual increase for pensioners. This move is likely to spark heated debate, as it would mean a significant change to the way pensions are calculated. And this is the part most people miss. The triple lock was introduced to protect pensioners from poverty, but it's now becoming a major obstacle to sustainable pension reform. A call to action: share your thoughts. As the pension crisis deepens, it's clear that something needs to change. But what's the best way forward? Should we scrap the triple lock, or is there another solution? We want to hear from you. Do you agree with the IFS's proposal, or do you think it's a step in the wrong direction? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 3. UK's pension triple lock, a £15.5 billion burden by 2030? The UK's pension triple lock is set to cost the government 3 times more than originally predicted by the end of this decade, and this is the part most people miss about its long-term impact. Introduced in 2011, the triple lock guarantees that the state pension increases each year by whichever is highest among inflation, average wage growth, or a minimum of 2.5%. But here's where it gets controversial. The official government forecaster, the Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR, now estimates that by 2030, the annual expense of maintaining this policy will soar to £15.5 billion. The OBR's report paints a picture of the UK's public finances as being in a relatively vulnerable position, largely due to recent government reversals on planned spending cuts. For example, the government's decision to backtrack on welfare bill reductions and to reinstate winter fuel payments for most eligible pensioners has contributed to a steady climb in national debt. The OBR explains that efforts to stabilize the country's finances have only achieved limited and temporary success. Despite attempts to tighten the budget, borrowing remains high because planned tax increases have been scrapped and, more significantly, proposed spending cuts have been abandoned. Spending on the state pension has been rising steadily, driven not only by the triple lock but also by the growing number of people reaching state pension age. The OBR highlights that due to fluctuations in inflation and earnings over the past 2 decades, the triple lock has ended up costing roughly 3 times more than initially expected. This raises a critical question: is this policy financially sustainable in the long run? The OBR also points out that pension spending has climbed from about 2% of the UK's economy 8 decades ago to 5% today, which translates to around £138 billion annually. Looking ahead, this figure is projected to reach 7.7% of GDP by the early 2070s. Richard Hughes, chair of the OBR, warns that the triple lock is just one of several age-related pressures steadily pushing public spending upward. When combined with rising health and other age-related costs, the UK's public finances face an unsustainable future unless significant changes are made. Hughes emphasizes that the country cannot afford the current promises on pensions and related spending if economic growth and tax revenue trends remain as expected. It's important to remember that the state pension is the second largest government expenditure after healthcare. The triple lock was introduced by the Conservative Liberal Democrat coalition in 2011 to protect pensioners from losing out as living costs and wages rose. Since then, the non-earnings-linked part of the triple lock has been triggered in 8 of the 13 years, largely because inflation has been more unpredictable than anticipated. In April 2025, the state pension increased by 4.1% based on wage growth, resulting in weekly payments of £230.25 for the new flat-rate pension. For those reaching pension age after April 2016, which is an annual rise of £472. Meanwhile, the older basic state pension, for those who reached pension age before April 2016, rose to £176.45 per week, an increase of £363 per year. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has confirmed that the Labour government intends to maintain the triple lock until the end of the current parliament. However, this commitment has not stopped heated debates about whether the triple lock's cost is justified. Just last week, the Institute for Fiscal Studies, a respected independent economic think tank, recommended scrapping the triple lock as part of a broader pension reform. They suggest pensions should rise in line with inflation but be linked to a target level of average earnings across the economy. On the other hand, pensioner advocacy groups argue that many older people face significant living cost pressures and rely on the triple lock to avoid falling deeper into financial hardship. They point out that even with the triple lock, the UK's state pension is far from the most generous in Europe, highlighting the importance of maintaining this safeguard. So, what do you think? Is the triple lock a necessary protection for pensioners in an uncertain economic climate? Or is it an unsustainable financial burden that needs urgent reform? Share your thoughts below. This debate is far from settled. 4. State pension crisis. More than 22 million Brits to rely on state by 2040. Imagine a future where nearly a quarter of the British population depends on state benefits. Shockingly, by 2040, an estimated 22.7 million people in the UK will be relying on government support, including pensions, according to a recent study by the Adam Smith Institute. This staggering figure means that only 34 million workers will be left to shoulder the financial burden. But here's where it gets controversial. The sustainability of the state pension system is under serious threat. By 2036, the Treasury's expenditure on welfare, which includes state pensions, is projected to surpass the income from national insurance contributions. This is despite the recent hikes in national insurance contributions, NICs, implemented by Rachel Reeves. The imbalance suggests that the state pension could become financially unsustainable as early as 2036. From this point onward, the government will have to dip into the National Insurance Investment Account Fund. This fund, which holds NICs to finance Social Security benefits and invest surplus funds back into the economy, will start to dwindle by 2040. And this is the part most people miss. While the government grapples with these financial challenges, Downing Street is considering the introduction of a wealth tax. This move comes as approximately 16,500 millionaires are expected to leave the UK this year. The question remains, can the UK afford 4 more years of this financial strain? The idea of a wealth tax is a hotly debated topic. Some argue that it's a necessary measure to ensure fairness and sustainability, while others see it as a deterrent for wealthy individuals and a potential blow to the economy. What do you think? Is a wealth tax the solution, or will it create more problems than it solves? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's spark a conversation and explore different perspectives on this pressing issue.